Welcome everyone to yet another AAPC social hour. We are happy to be here today. As always, I'm Dave Kaiser and I'm here with
Alex McKinley. Hey guys. And with
and
Sophia from the men's team.
and we have Sophia on with us first thing because we wanted to do a quick little plug about conference more, but there's a promo going on that we wanted to let you all know about that we're going to
Yeah.
extend because it's pretty exciting. So Sophia, do you want to tell us about that?
So we've got our HealthCon Regional coming up at the end of August. A little over a month from now. We're getting really excited. All of our plans are starting to come together and things are really great. And yeah, we have extended our most recent promo, which is $100 off registration, and you'll get a $50 credit to the Lowe's Hotel if you stay at the property, which is a really awesome property. It's right in the center of downtown Philadelphia, walking distance to the Reading Market, to City Hall, to the historic districts like 6 blocks down. It's so quick. It's such a cool city. That hotel was the first modern skyscraper of its time when it was built in the 30s as a bank, and they've converted it to a hotel, and it's just a really cool mid-century modern art deco cool hotel. I'm really excited to go and stay and hope to see everybody there and enjoy everything we've got planned. We've got some fun after hours events. I have a 1960s going with the mid-century vibe of the hotel. I think Mad Men cocktail party with dueling pianos and some really fun entertainment. So come get the best education you can get in this really neat environment and have some fun while we're there.
I am looking forward to it. Sophia, I'm curious. I know at some of our other events, like there's a to get to the conference center, it's a ways from our rooms. Like what's the layout like?
It's stacked on top of each other. So it's a skyscraper, and the meeting space is on the second, third, and fourth floor, and then your hotel rooms are just above you. So you can get off of the same elevator bank that you would use to get to your hotel room to get to the meeting space, and then same to get to the next floors. We're all in one location, really close together. There's no walking besides from one meeting room to the one next door or to the elevator bank to get to the floor above you.
Awesome.
So it is kind of, it's much more condensed than like one of the properties we've been at most recently, like when we were in Vegas, it's just, when you have that many people, you have to spread out a little. And there just happens to be a little bit of walking to get from one room to the other. But this property is just a big square. We're just stacked on each other. So it's quite cool.
You can get your steps while you're visiting everything
city.
outside of it. Yeah, in the city.
I plan on waking up every morning, walking to Reading Market, getting the local coffee and a bagel, heading to the meeting space. That's my plan.
Dave, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah, I've been having just a few connectivity issues. I ran over one of my cables that I really needed for internet, so I've been trying to make it work. It's kind of a last minute thing, but yeah, Sophia, that's awesome. So we've got the $100 off the registration plus $50 off the room block. You're saying
$50 credit to the hotel, which you can apply towards your room night for one night, or use it to grab dinner in the bar or at the restaurant on site. The Banks and Bourbon, which is delicious food menu right on site. So $50 hotel credit to use on site and then to get that, you'll just use the code regional 24 in order at checkout to get the discount applied, and then book your hotel stay.
Okay. There it is.
With the Lowe's through our link, you can book that on aapc.com. Or Alex, if I drop the link, is it easier for you to share?
Yeah, why don't you put the link in the chat of this Zoom call, and then I'll put it in the chat of the webcast.
Absolutely. And they can just book their stay directly, and we'll get that credit applied.
Okay, so I'm dropping in the the promo code for Philly right there, the Regional 24. And now I'm going to drop in the link for conference. And okay, we're all set.
And that code is only good for another day, so do it before midnight. The product turns back into a pumpkin, as Dave said yesterday in a meeting at midnight. Back to full price without that code.
All right, the links are in there, or the link for the regional conference is in there. The link for the promo code's in there. Take advantage of that. I love being with our members. Sophia, I know it's hard for you to enjoy it because you are working so hard, but it's a big lift. It's a lot of work for you.
I mean, it's fun. It's what I love to do. It's, you know, you build the puzzle piece and then you get to see the puzzle piece come together when you're on site. And so it's really exciting. And I think that one of the best parts of being a part of an organization like this, like where you're member based and is to connect with people on site at a conference. It's one of the best ways to really get to know your fellow colleagues and understand and connect on a deeper level of what you're doing and where you're at in your career and where you could be going. So there's so much benefit to attending an in-person conference. The virtual event is awesome and you get the same content, but there's nothing like being able to walk down and have breakfast with another, you know, coder and talk about the challenges you're having and kind of figure things out together.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, Sophia, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to see everyone in Philadelphia next month. So.
Okay. We'll see you there, Sophia. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Awesome. All right, Alex, I think I should be a little more stable now. How's that?
I've been waiting for stability from you forever. So it's about time, buddy. Did I say, Brad?
That's been a long time coming. Yeah. So Alex, you're in the office now, right? Right?
I'm in the office. Yep. We're having we're a fundraiser, a school supply fundraiser. So staff are bringing in school supplies and we're going to help out some local program here in our community.
That's so cool. Is it for the school district there, the Salt Lake School District?
I'm not sure. I would imagine so. I just want to put glue on my hand and do that, and let it dry and pull it off. So that's my goal today.
So that's why you're there. Yeah.
Yes.
That's so fun. Yeah. You know, any chance we get, we do like to help out with the community. We've done a couple other things in the past too, so it's always a good time to reach out and get involved. Should we jump right into our guests? We've got a good lineup. We've got a few people that I actually don't even know that well, so I think this will be fun for everybody to get to know a few of these people.
Let's do it.
One of the first people that we have is Samantha Siersky, and we're going to bring her on right now. So
I love her last name. It just kind of rolls off the tongue. Siersky. Oh, there she is, Samantha Siersky.
Hi.
Hey, Samantha. So you are our featured magazine author, and you've published 2 articles. Do you want to kind of give us a little bit of background about you, and then we can talk about your articles and maybe some more of those catchy parts of it that'll people really want to read it and dig in?
Sure. So I just started working in medical billing. I worked at an ophthalmology office since 2021, but I started out front at the front desk. And last January, I started in the billing office. Our billing office kind of fell apart and then we started rebuilding it. So it was just me for a while and now we're sort of getting things back on track. So we have a multi-specialty practice. So all ophthalmologists, optometrists, we specialize in retina, cataracts, dry eye. So one of my articles this month was about retina coating for intravitreal injections. And a couple months ago, I did one on cataract surgery coating. So all ophthalmology focused for the main part.
Yeah, so you're all about the eyes then.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Have you published any articles before, or was this your first time with AAPC, the magazine?
Just the cataract surgery coding one. I think it was back in March, and then these two. So those were my only three.
So now where you're at, do you also do some of the clinical work, or are you just coding in the ophthalmology office?
Primarily like coding billing. When I worked out front, I got my COA, which is Certified Ophthalmic Assistant, just to get some more backgrounds because the clinical information helps a ton when you're doing billing. I think it's a really important part of the process, like understanding. It helps you understand more like what codes you can build together. I mean, when I got my CPC in like the parts that were areas I wasn't familiar with, the main problem, like the hardest part was like the medical aspect. So it helps a lot to have both like the front desk background with like insurance related like experience and also that like sort of semi very small like clinical background. I shadowed in clinic like a lot when I was doing that. So I've never actually like worked up as a technician and stuff, but I think that was a very important part of it for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, having that background, I'm sure, helps a lot. Understanding what's going on, why they're doing it, so you can code it properly.
Yeah.
What was your career path like?
So mostly I just started this job very randomly after COVID. I graduated from college and then I was just looking for a job that would essentially provide me health insurance. It was my main concern. So I had, no experience, no real like idea of what I was going to do with it, but I applied here. I think I wrote in one of my articles that when I applied and I was being interviewed, like they were telling me about the insurance they offer here for their employees. And they were like, we have a $2,000 deductible. And I didn't know what a deductible was. So we've come a long way in a couple of years.
Yeah, you've learned a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And you said it was around the COVID period that you were looking for
Mhm.
something kind of more remote. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. I'm glad you're able to find such a good fit. So tell us all, what is pinpoint intravitreal injection? What's a pinpoint intravitreal injection? Because that sounds like sticking needles in your eye. I just want to let you
So,
clarify what that is.
so an intravitreal injection is sticking a needle in your eye,
That's right.
which, yeah, that definitely took me by surprise when I started working here. I didn't know that, people get shots in their eyeballs, but yeah, for different conditions like wet macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, there's swelling in the back of the eye. And in order to combat that and help preserve vision, we inject medications into patients' eyes. So there's not really going back and like saving vision that was lost for the most part, but it does help them preserve their vision. So that's why it is so important to sort of know what you're doing so that all of the barriers that insurance companies set up because they don't want to pay for these expensive medications, you find ways to work around them because it is very important to stay like on the injection schedules that the doctors lay out because we need to prevent that vision loss as much as we can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that's cool. Ooh, needles in the eyes. All right. I'm glad I haven't had to have any of those yet, but it's good that we have experts that know how to do that and know also how to code that.
Oh, that sounds horrible, Dave. I gotta tell you. I used to visit an elderly guy in my neighborhood, and he would say, "Yeah, I had an injection in my eye today, and I just wanted to. I was dying inside, just the thought of that." Samantha, are you okay with the clinical side? Like you see that probably a little bit. Like, are you? It's not for everybody. That maybe that's why you work on in the revenue cycle side.
Yeah, I think if I could stomach it, I would probably enjoy the clinical
Yeah.
side a lot more. I think it's very interesting, but I have never, directly dead on watched someone get an injection in their eye because I'm not interested in doing that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And just thinking about as Dave is talking to you, I think you're this career path is still relatively new to you, and you're already writing articles, and you're obviously, to me it seems you're passionate about this career. Why do you feel like it's a good fit? What makes it a good fit?
So there are a lot of points. I think my article about patient advocacy makes it very important to me. Back in 2022, my dad was diagnosed with colon cancer. So I've spent the past 2 years sort of watching him navigate that system and trying to help him. And it's so funny, when you have a loved one who's diagnosed with something like that, with like a life-threatening disease, whether it's you or a loved one, you're already so scared and trying to like navigate that world. And it is absolutely crazy to me that then you also have the added burden of worrying about financial security on top of it. I mean, he hasn't been able to work for 2 years. He's on disability, and yet somehow on disability, he makes too much to get like government assistance. So he owes out of pocket quite a lot for his treatments currently because he doesn't get Medicare until August when he turns 65. So it's been sort of 2 years of navigating that. And I just all the time think, I don't understand, like many of our patients are elderly, and a lot of them sometimes don't have people nearby who can help them or who understand enough to help them. And I don't know how they do it alone. Just like navigating that cost or knowing what questions to ask your provider or your insurance.
Wow. I love that passion.
Yeah, and that's like you said, there's not a lot of people that even understand their bill, and to have somebody like that can explain it to them and walk them through it. And maybe there's even some errors there that they can help them correct. So your second article is more about that patient advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you find that you have those encounters with patients?
Yeah, so I think that actually ties in a lot with, surgery billing, with injections billing, because it's such a high cost, whether it's on the front end before we perform the procedure and we're figuring out what the patient will owe to give them, a heads up to collect ahead of time, or if it's on the back end after we bill it and they end up owing. It is so difficult to have those conversations with patients sometimes and try to explain to them why they owe so much money, because I have experience watching someone not understand why like he might owe a lot of money, and I don't blame them because a lot of times it doesn't make a lot of sense, and they will find any reason to deny coverage because they don't want to pay for these high cost things. And I don't know how I would feel, just trusting a random person on the phone who is trying to explain to me why I owe hundreds of dollars. So we go through a lot with that, and a big part of the process for verifying for the injections we do is we help our patients get funding. I think a lot of offices just let that, fall on the patient, but there are funding programs set up for patients with commercial insurance, government insurance that help cover the cost of these high cost medications that their insurance won't. So that is a big thing that we go through, talking to patients about that funding, getting their information that we need to enroll them so that they can receive these treatments that save their vision, that help preserve their vision without, being financially devastated by them.
Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of people probably don't even know that those programs even exist. So
Yeah.
the fact that you can help them explain things, also with some programs to get some assistance on the, paying for it even. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Everybody, if you're watching, check out Sammy's 2 articles. They're both in the July AAPC, the magazine. I have to get that name right every time because it's kind of a new branding on that. Check it out in AAPC, the magazine. Sammy, thank you so much for joining us. You're doing great things out there, so keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sammy.
All right. So up next, we have 3 awesome guests, and we've got Tonda, Brenda, and Yvonne. Let's just bring them in, and then we can kind of do some introductions here.
Okay. Hey, your connection's been pretty stable, Dave. Good job, whatever you did.
Yeah, this is on my phone, so that's working. My Wi-Fi, not so much. It's a little spotty, so good, thanks. All right, there they are.
Hello.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
And Tonda's joining us.
All right.
Yes, here I am. Hello.
Cool. Welcome
Hi.
to 3. Let's quickly, for those of you that don't know you, which might only be a few people, let's have you each go through and do some brief introductions, and then we'll kind of talk about why we brought each one of you on here. So let's start with Yvonne.
Very good. So I'm Yvonne Ellison. I am on the AAPC Chapter Advisory Board. I'm one of the representatives. I'm also on the Professional Development Committee, and it's our committee that actually helps to find the Officer of the Year. And so I'm here because Tonda and I talked and I did an interview, and we now have an article in the magazine for this month of July. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Yvonne. All right, Brenda.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brenda Stevens, and I am on the Chapter Advisory Board, and I chair the committee for all the regions and everyone on the CAB, as we call ourselves.
So thanks, Brenda. We'll get more into that in just a sec. And Tonda, do you want to give us an introduction?
Hi, I am Tonda Dawson. I am the president of the Raleigh, North Carolina local chapter. So I'm here because I won an award for last year for 2023 Officer of the Year. So thus the crown.
Yeah, the tiara, the sash, and everything.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I represent.
How were you awarded that?
Well, it's funny because I got an email and it was like, we want to meet with you. And my first thought was, what did I do? And then I'm like, okay. And then I think I even replied, like, can I get some information? Because they was like, we want to meet with you before your May chapter meeting. So I'm like, am I getting fired before the May Mania meeting? Like, I done done all this work. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is a volunteer position. Tonda, calm down. So I showed up and then I almost forgot the Zoom meeting. And so I sort of dove to my computer and they had their presentation and, several people are on and I'm like, oh my God, like they got 7 or 8 people to fire me. What did I do? And so as they're doing their presentation, they start talking about Officer of the Year. And in my mind, I'm like, I know you are kidding me. So yeah, I was completely surprised because I don't get too many, not that I get a lot of calls about negative stuff. I'm just saying I wasn't quite sure what it was about. So, but I was completely surprised.
Yeah, what a big surprise, especially when we're feeling like it was going to be something totally different. That's awesome. Big sigh of relief, I'm sure, and excitement. I'm sure. Yes. Well, I'm glad you're wearing the tiara and the sash. That's awesome.
Thank you. I was awarded this. So we met prior to our May Mania in-person meeting that we had for this year, and they sent in stuff, and we were able to get one of my colleagues from last year that was an officer nominated me, but she didn't come back this year. She's moving away. So, but she showed up for the meeting and was there to present everything to me. So it was a surprise, and I was still surprised. The day of the meeting, I was like, oh, really? For me? I made sure I went along with that, so everyone know I was surprised.
Right. That's good. That's awesome, and cool that the woman who nominated you got to award you that too. That's awesome.
Yes, she was. I think she was more excited than I was. She cried and everything when I called and talked, because I had to call her to tell her. So I had to I wasn't going to tell anybody. I was like, well, in order for me to get her to the meeting, I have to let her know why I need her to come. So, but yeah, she was very happy for me.
So great. And Brenda, do you want to tell us how the Officer of the Year is chosen? What that process is like? Maybe Yvonne, you can chime in on that too.
Well, I am going to turn that over to Yvonne because, as she mentioned, that is done by one of our CAB committees, the Professional Development Committee. And it really is an entire process that goes into this. Yvonne is the chair of that committee, along with committee members Susan Sawinski and Debbie DePriest. And then executive CAB members come in as well in choosing the Officer of the Year as well. So I'll turn that process over to Yvonne so she can give us all the details that go into it.
Well, it's a fantastic opportunity for officers. We send out application forms, and this is available on the AAPC website. We send out information, people fill out nomination forms. For an officer, they feel has gone above and beyond with their normal duties. It can be president, vice president, secretary, any of the offices. And it's open to any of the officers that served in the previous year. So this year we'll start collecting for next year. We typically will start seeing those nominations come in about January. So we start requesting in December, comes out in January. We go through a review process and look at what is outstanding for each person. We had quite a bit to select from this year, 29 nominations, and it was hard to select. We had so many great things that were happening throughout the chapters. However, Tonda stood out through her mentoring and through her ability to connect, and her chapter actually grew from 500 to 650. So these are the qualities that we're looking for in Officer of the Year. And so this is open to anyone who is a chapter officer. It would be good, it'd be great actually to start looking around now to see chapter officers that are doing these extra things, that are mentoring, that they are doing, they're connecting, and we want to hear specific stories. So that also helps when somebody is creating a nomination, if they can go into detail so that when we have so many nominations as we did this last time, that we'll know which one to pick because we'll have specific examples. So that's something we look for. Right. And that's available to everybody. It comes in through email. We love pictures. Then it helps us a little bit when that deciding, just more so when we can pick them out when we see them at HealthCon or someplace in maybe AAPC's website. So those come in, we put them on a spreadsheet, and then we share the information with not only those that are in the professional development committee, but also our executive committee on the chapter advisory board. And then we have to go through the pain of trying to decide which one stands out the most. And so
that is about 8 of us. Yeah. Yes. That is about 8 of us. So
yes.
Getting everybody on one accord is, can be tasky.
Yes. And then each one of us explain, we try to narrow down at least 3 per person. And then we talk about it, we debate, go back and forth. And then ultimately we decide, and then we share that. We really love to let people know around HealthCon. So next year it's going to come a little bit sooner. Right. And so, but we're looking forward to that. And if the person who has won the award that's been chosen is not able to come in person, then we reach out to them afterwards, just as we did with Tonda. Try not to scare them too much, but try to keep it a little bit under the wraps. We like capturing that surprise photograph of them knowing that element of surprise is important, but we don't want to terrorize them either. And then when they're not there, we send them. Yeah. So then we were able to make the sash and get the crown and have a certificate. We sent it out to her. So she has won as an Officer of the Year award. She gets a free, she can attend a virtual conference. So it's a big deal.
Yes, it is a big deal. And one of the things too that I want to add to that stood out with Tonda is she was very instrumental in saving her chapter from closing. And that is what even the person that nominated her was instrumental in saying as well, that their chapter literally was on the verge of closing, and in steps Tonda. And not only saved the chapter, but grew the chapter.
Yes.
Awesome.
Right.
What a lengthy
couldn't have done it with,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I couldn't have done it without the other officers. That really makes a difference. We only had 4, and the full core: president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And like by the end of January, one person was stepping down, and by the end of February, another person stepped down. And so we're like, okay, I was actually the vice president. And what we had heard before was it was hard to get people to volunteer. And the people that had been in the positions before had been in for many years because they said people would not step up. You know, they even told me when they left, good luck and getting it filled and all that. So I just sent out an email. I emailed, one of the first things I did that I didn't do in the beginning was educated myself. I went to the AAPC website, went to the handbook, and every question I had was answered in the handbook. One of my first questions was, okay, what is the local chapter about? Like, what is it for? You know, nobody ever says that. We do get the email at the first of the month of the new members. And when we always email ours to introduce the chapter, tell them what it's for. But so I was like, what are the chapters for? And what is the purpose of it? So I had asked that question a few years back. I was an instructor at Millamont College and sort of got into that because someone asked me to speak at an event. I showed up, felt very intimidated because those that were there were from, I'm in the Raleigh-Durham area, so we have people from UNC and Duke and been there for years, and I'm here talking about working remote, and I hadn't been doing it that long, so I felt, you know, really intimidated. But when it was over, the administrator came to me, and she was like, "You were the only person that I listened to." And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, you captured everyone's attention and you incorporated everyone into the conversation. Would you like a job?" And, you know, like, who gets a job like that? You know, if it's too good to be true, it might, but it won't too good to be true because I got the job. But anyway, so what it did was made me want to be a better coder. So I wasn't a CPCI at the time, but I went back to school because how can I teach somebody something if I'm struggling to figure it out? But I worked for many years in the evening and couldn't go to the chapter meetings, you know, because they were all in person. And COVID came, I started tutoring online. And so my students were asking me about going to the chapter meeting. And they was like, "Why should we go?" And I honestly couldn't give them an answer because I had been to a few and I wasn't impressed. So I went to a chapter meeting myself. I went to one. It was probably this time of the year. And you know, near the end, I raised my hand and I asked that question. I said, "Look, I'm actually coming because people want to come and they want to know why should they come." And, you know, my answer was to get CEUs. And I'm like, "Well, you know, you can get CEUs from a lot." And I understand the CEUs and why we come together. However, if I've worked all day, what I'm saying is, why should I come to this chapter meeting to get my CEUs? What else am I going to get anything else from this? You know, and so I wanted to make it not more. You know, it sort of felt like you were. Okay, look, you gotta come, you gotta get the CEUs, you might as well show up. Like it was just, oh my God, I dread it. But I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, I wanna make sure people have a reason to come. Where we're coming to get education, continuing education. And I mean, first of all, it changes, you know, by the month in this field here. So we need this. We have people out here that have all this knowledge and are willing to share this with us. Only thing we have to do is a few people get together, schedule some meetings and pick a topic and people show up. Like, really? That's all? And our numbers increased, not really by anything particular that I did, no more than I went to, again, AAPC website. I went to the list where, you know, as an officer, we have certain information. So I see the people that are in our chapter. I download that big, long list for our chapter. And so first I'm like, okay, I'm gonna send everybody an email. Well, that's when I learned when you got the free email with Yahoo and Google, you can't email like 500-600 people at one time. So I'm like, to be sure, we ain't gonna have to do this one person at a time. But I figured it out. Like you can do up to so many per day. So I planned it out. I literally saved that list. I import it into my Google Drive. I separate it into 2 bundles. I do this every month. I separate it into 2 bundles, and then whatever email I have to send out, I send it to every member of our chapter. And I realized what had happened before. We were passing along an email list that we were just accumulating. So it only had people that had showed up. It didn't include the people that hadn't been showing up. And when I started sending it out, I was actually getting responses. And some of them were like, I have never gotten an email from a local person since I've been with AAPC. And it's not to say anything to the previous officers. You know, one of the things that I realized is this is a different time. You know, right now, like all of our meetings this year have been virtual, except for May Mania and our December meeting. Well, that wasn't the case 5 years ago. So it is a lot different now, you know, with technology, with being able to do the meetings virtual. Our first meeting this year, we had 300 people in the meeting. I was floored. We had, I can't remember her name. Our cab person did the speaker, Stover. What's her
That's
name?
Stover.
Yes,
Really?
Steph. She was our speaker on the different jobs with AAPC. And we had people from all over the country. And because I just asked them, like, where are y'all coming from? And it just started pouring in from all over the country. Even Bev was like, I haven't seen any this large. And in addition to the emails to our chapter members, I utilize Facebook. There's an event page where you just share events. I share the events up there with the link. People click on the link and they show up. So, you know, with this, the current state that we're in with technology, it's, you know, if you utilize it more, and one of the things that the previous president did tell me, she said, Tonda, I don't know anything about this Zoom and stuff. And so for her, you know, her time was when it was in person. And so, you know, it's just a new time, a new season. We have to utilize the resources we have. And we need the CEUs, and then you convince them, you know, you sort of, child, you might as well go ahead on and log in. While you cooking dinner, put it on mute. You know, we try to make sure, we even play games beforehand. We call it meet and greet, and just try to have our meetings very interactive so people are not just sitting around on their phone listening to, you know, people talk. So.
Awesome. Tonda, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I'm so impressed that you took all of that effort yourself to email people,
Yes.
you know, grab that list, do all the legwork to really get your chapter, just get some momentum going.
Yes.
Where it sounds like maybe there wasn't a whole lot there prior. And that could be really, a lot of our chapters are probably in maybe similar states or, you know,
Right.
kind of fluctuates. So with activity, that's awesome. You've definitely earned that sash and that tiara, even just
Thank
from your
you.
story alone of what you've done to boost your chapter. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alex, was there something that you want us to add to that?
Well, I just see Pamela Leddington says, we will always show up if we can wear our PJs.
I know,
So-
right?
But yeah, Dave, just echoing what you said, it's so impressive. And I know it takes what you want to put in, or you'll get out of it what you put in. So you put in some effort, and then this is the reward of that is just this thriving chapter. And
Yes.
I'm curious, Tonda, so why? I mean, what has, before being an officer, what has AAPC chapters given you to inspire you want to keep your chapter going?
I joined in 2012, and then I passed my first exam in December of 2013. So I didn't go to my first chapter meeting until May Mania of 2014. I was blown away because they had it at a nice restaurant, first of all. And then there was employers there that were looking for coders. And one of the recruiters was like, just put a note that, you know, put my name. And I mean, like literally every one of us that was there that applied got the job. I'm not going to name the company or any of that. It was 2014. And so I was impressed, you know, that, okay, I wouldn't have had that access if I hadn't shown up to the chapter meeting, and that's what they came for. And so, like I said, I started working and I would go whenever I could. And so whenever I got back to going, you know, that was my thought. Like when I first started going, there were, you know, not just the speaker of the topic, but local people have, you know, a doctor is here, a recruiter is here, somebody's coming in that has something to give us. And so I've gotten a couple of jobs by actually going to the chapter meetings. And I try to, matter of fact, our May Mania last year, we did a career fair and we got recruiters to come in. We had it catered and we had a couple of speakers that talked about, you know, how to present yourself, and recruiters came and people were able to update their resumes and stuff. Cause I mean, that's, you know, that's what we're trying to do. Everybody's here for work. You know, nobody's doing this cause like we're bored, you know, everybody's doing it for work, and they put in a lot of time and money. And I would like to, it's not easy, you know, to find your way. If you're not really a self-starter or a self-motivator, it's easy to get discouraged. You know, like we hear so many stories of people like, I've been certified for 6 months and, you know, I aced all my exams, but nobody will call me. My first question to them, okay, you put in all that money for that. Did you put any money into your resume?
Exactly.
Because you think about that one position, there are like 100 people applying. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself, okay, what can I do to get somebody's attention? And so I like to try to find those things and bring it in and bring those people in that'll help people figure out what they need to do to take those extra steps, because the jobs are there. You know, they're there. Yeah, they want you to have experience, but not everybody, you know. So I want it to be what it is supposed to be, a place to network, a place to grow. I mean, like I didn't even know the vast careers that are available without going, you know, through chapter stuff. That's when I learned about the different, you know, certifications from proctoring exams and things like that, getting exposed to what's actually out there. It is not just about coding. You know, not at the major hospital, you know, everybody has that one job that they want, and that's, I'm gonna get that job and I'm gonna work from home. Maybe not. So, you know.
Yeah, there's so many different potential career paths too, different branches
Right.
you can take. So it's, you never know until you start really taking those first steps.
Yes.
So Yvonne, regarding the recognition of Tonda, you wrote an article in the magazine about that. Is that right?
He did, yes, and it was
You
my
want to talk a
honor
little bit
to
about
meet
that?
with Tonda. Absolutely. So Tonda and I scheduled a time. We met on Zoom. So, you know, it's so much different than talking on the phone to see someone's face. You get the expressions and you have more of a dialogue. And one of the things that very strongly impressed me was Tonda's ability to mentor. That seemed to come out over and over again, that she recognized the challenges of coding and the need to be able to have the community and be able to understand, yes, it's hard, but it's achievable. And she was able to actually mentor quite a bit of people on that journey and tell them this is what you do, just like the example she used with the resume. With if you're going to get a job, you probably need to take a look at your resume. You need to recognize how to connect with others. And she was that person. And she guided other people in that direction to support them so they didn't give up. And that was something that definitely met the quality of above and beyond. So not only did she go to the handbook, and the handbook is a great place to start. She learned her role, what was expected, but then she went above. She said, okay, I've learned this really hard process. I see people are struggling. How can I help them bridge over so they can be successful? And those are the kind of qualities that we're looking for in Officer of the Year, people who have stood out, where they're mentoring, they're looking at this potential of the role of being a chapter officer. There's so much that can be done, networking, collaborating, helping people build that successful journey. And so when Tonda and I met, there were so many things to add. I couldn't put half of the items I wanted to in the article. And she's such a dynamic person, as you can tell. I'd love to see you in person, Tonda. So I hope you're going to HealthCon in
Look,
in
girl,
April.
we still working on it, honey. I'm trying to be at every conference from here on out. So we're gonna speak
Fantastic.
it
Excellent.
into existence. Yes.
Well, I hope to see you in Orlando. But she just was the epitome. And as I spoke with her, even more came out. So we usually get a little snippet of what somebody is saying about this person. And Sarah gave a lot of information about Tonda, but actually having the interview, I was able to pull out more. Why? What was it that inspired her to come to AAPC? Why she stuck with AAPC? Well, she's very service oriented. Not only does she serve as an AAPC officer, but she's also a Girl Scout leader. And I think all of these qualities have added to the person that she is. And she's an outstanding leader. I was very honored to meet you, to interview you, and be able to share a little bit of your story with the AAPC community.
Yeah, she truly is an example of service above self. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
Love
we
that.
want to say thank you so much for all the efforts and bringing so much of your personality. So a part of that is your ability to connect with people. And it's evident to other people, as you can see, your first job offer as an instructor was because of your presentations. So
Exactly.
being able to put aside any kind of concern of what other people might think, but think, how can I help these people? And that shines. That's what we want to see in chapter officers. There's so much potential to bring people together, and
Yes.
you were this shining
Network,
example.
yes.
So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. And with it almost being time for people to start, well, I mean, we still got a couple more months, but officers, you know, in the future, one of the things that I got from my pastor, he says, if you have a complaint about something, when you come with that complaint, make sure you come with the
The
resolution.
solution, yes.
So if you don't like the way the chapter is being ran, if you don't, you know, if there's just something about it that you feel could be done better or different, and sometimes it's not even about it being better, it's just a different time, a different group of people, then step up, you know, step up. The opportunity comes around. It's not a lifetime commitment. You know, you commit to that 1 year, do your part, you know, because if you're not going to do anything about it, then don't complain about it.
And
I
the
love
thing
that.
is, we work together. Chapter officers work together.
Yes.
We're a
Oh my
unit,
God,
we're a
yes.
team.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you know what? Tonda brought in an element of fun. So not only did she recognize the responsibilities and what needed to be done expectation wise, but she turned it into fun. They have themes. So when we attended her May Mania virtually, we could see quite a people came. They had food, they had a theme, and there was an excitement. And so being able to bring that excitement to chapters, because coding can be fun, the community can be quite interesting. We are dynamic people, and Tonda led the way. So very much appreciate everything that she's done.
Thank y'all so much.
Awesome.
Such an inspiration, yes.
Yeah, well said by all of you. Thank you all for joining us for this
you
social
for
hour.
having me.
Alex, was there anything you wanted to add before we wrap it up with our guests?
You know, my question for Tonda was going to be, what is your pitch to those watching on why they should become a chapter officer? But you kind of gave that, you know, just to making a change. Like, is there anything else? Like, if I just throwing that question at you right now, what would you say, Tonda?
One other thing that, you know, you hear about, there's some places you won't be able to get a job at unless you know somebody. You know, I tell people, I thought of it one day. I said, you know what? I want to be that person that you need to know. Not because I'm necessarily there in every one of those, but because I have connections, I have networked. And so if I've already done that legwork, just ask me and I'll be glad to tell you. I'll be glad to share it with you. I'll be glad to, you know, I don't want to gather this information for myself. So I would really like to be that person for the new coder that, you know, is about to give up, for the coder that's been around for 20 years and looking for another job, you know, just being that person that people can count on to either be on their side, to help them out, to give them the information, or just to cry with them if that's, you know, sometimes you just frustrated and need to cry. But I would like to be that person that people can depend on to direct them in our career area, in our field. Not that I know everything, but I know somebody that knows somebody. So yes.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the local chapters too, is to connect us all.
Mhm.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. This has been inspiring and a great social hour. So thank you, Yvonne, Brenda, and Tonda.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
us.